so ready to dive into dancing our way to human AI consciousness. I gotta say, the title alone makes me want to put on my thinking shoes, but also my dancing shoes.
It's definitely a title that grabs you.
No kidding. But seriously, this book, it really got me thinking about AI, not just as, technology, but as this potential partner, in our evolution as humans.
Yeah, it's a fascinating premise, isn't it? And I think it speaks to that interest, yours and so many others, not just in understanding AI, but how do we actually thrive alongside it personally and ethically?
Exactly. And this book, it does not shy away from the big questions, it comes right out and asks, how do we become better human beings? It's like all this AI advancement is almost forcing us to really examine what does it even mean to be human now?
It's almost like the old narratives, the ones we used to rely on, religion, consumerism, even they just don't quite resonate in this age of AI,
Yeah.
We need a new framework almost, a new way of understanding ourselves and where we fit in.
And that's where this whole dance metaphor comes in, right? And I'll be honest, at first I was a little, I don't know.
Skeptical.
Yeah, come on, dancing with AI.
It sounds a little whimsical at first, yeah.
But the more I read, the more I saw how well it actually works.
It is, when you think about it, a pretty clever way to illustrate this idea that we're not trying to master AI, right?
Yeah.
Like as some wild animal we need to domesticate.
Right.
It's more about learning to partner with it, to move in sync, to find that rhythm together.
Okay, so walk me through some of these dance metaphors. What's the deal with this dance room? What does that even represent?
Well, picture this. The dance room is like our whole world, right? Our entire cosmovision, as the book calls it. It's this reminder that this whole AI revolution, it's not happening in some bubble, right?
Yeah, okay.
It's impacting everything. How we see ourselves, how we connect with each other, even how we understand the universe. It's all changing.
Okay, so big picture stuff. But where do we fit in all of this? Are we just these awkward guests at this AI dance party?
Not at all. That's where the dancer comes in, you, me, everyone listening. The book really emphasizes that we are not passive bystanders in this whole AI revolution. No, we are active creators, shaping this dance through the choices we make, the actions we take.
Okay, so we're not just along for the ride. We actually get to choose the music.
To a certain extent. We have agency, the power to influence the direction of the dance.
I like that. But with any good dance, it's all about the attitude.
Right.
You walk into a party feeling timid and shy, you're going to have a much different experience than if you walk in feeling confident and ready to, dance.
Exactly. And the book really hits on that. Are we approaching AI with fear, with excitement, or even with something deeper, a sense of, intentionality? Because
Okay.
that attitude, it's going to set the tone for the entire dance.
And that intention, that kind of leads into action, right? Or as the book calls it, our footsteps. It's about taking what we're feeling and actually doing something with it.
Right. And those footsteps, those can be anything. Educating yourself about AI, having conversations about it with friends, family, even supporting policies that promote ethical AI development.
Yeah.
Every little step, it all adds up.
So don't underestimate the power of a well-placed grapevine. Okay, and then there's this final image the book uses, the tango with AI.
Ah, yes.
Much more elegant than your average party shuffle, huh?
Right. This metaphor, it gets at the heart of the book's message. It's not about us just programming AI to perfectly follow our lead,
Yeah.
That kind of thinking, that's how you end up with those scary sci-fi movies where robots take over, This isn't about dominance. It's about
Partnership.
Exactly. It's about respecting AI's agency, its ability to learn and adapt, and finding those creative ways to collaborate. Think about it. Even with something like self-driving cars, they have to understand and respond to human drivers, to all the crazy nuances of the road.
It's a dance.
It is a very intricate, very nuanced dance. And that's what this book is really getting at.
Okay, so we're not talking about some simple box step here. This is high-stakes tango.
Exactly. With a partner that is constantly learning and evolving.
And that makes me realize just how important those footsteps, those individual actions really are, right?
Absolutely. And, that leads perfectly into the book's next big idea, the hierarchy of consciousness. It's like that old saying, think globally, act locally, but with a consciousness upgrade.
So you're saying even being a good friend has ripple effects in this grand tango with AI.
Absolutely. The book argues that even those small acts of kindness, they can cascade outwards, influencing not just your immediate circle, but potentially even reaching those larger levels, institutions, governments, the whole world.
Okay, now this hierarchy of consciousness, this is where things get really interesting for me. Tell me more.
So imagine a series of nested levels, like those Russian dolls.
Yeah.
You have the individual, right? Then your immediate circle, your family, friends, close colleagues, what the book calls the micro collective.
Mhm.
And then those micro collectives, they come together as part of like larger communities, institutions, right? That's the macro collective.
Okay, I'm following so far. So it's like individual to immediate circle, then these bigger like communities. What's next? World domination.
Not quite.
Yeah.
But you're getting warmer. Next, you have humanity as a whole, right? Like all of us together, what the book calls mundo.
Mundo. Okay, I like that.
And then ultimately, the book kind of hints at this idea of a shared skeleton of consciousness that connects everything and everyone.
Whoa, okay, hold on. So it's not just about me like meditating my way to a better mood. It's about my increased consciousness actually rippling out and affecting like the entire planet.
Exactly. It's like that butterfly effect, right?
Yeah.
But instead of a butterfly flapping its wings, it's you choosing to, I don't know, be kind to a stranger or standing up for what you believe in or approaching a problem with curiosity instead of fear. Those actions, they can create ripples that go way beyond just you.
That's a pretty powerful visual, our individual actions sending out these like waves of consciousness that impact the world around us. But how does this actually play out in, the real world? Give me an example.
Okay, well, the book actually uses the COVID-19 pandemic as one example. Imagine a researcher, right, makes a groundbreaking discovery early on about the virus. Now imagine one scenario where there's a slow bureaucratic response. Information is siloed, no one's really talking to each other.
Sounds familiar, unfortunately.
Right. But then imagine another scenario, right, where that information is shared immediately, freely, everyone's collaborating, resources are mobilized quickly.
Wow, that's a stark contrast. I mean, it makes you realize just how important those connections are, that open communication so things don't get, lost in translation.
Right. And it makes you think about your own role in those situations. How quickly do you share information? Are you more likely to hoard it or to spread it freely? It's a powerful way to look at your own place in all of this.
Yeah, good point. Makes you think. But it's not all doom and gloom, right? I mean, you're saying that our actions can have like negative ripple effects, but I'd imagine they can also create positive change too.
Absolutely. Think about, I don't know, the movement towards sustainability, for example. One person choosing to reduce their carbon footprint, it might feel small, right?
Right.
But you multiply that by millions, billions, and suddenly you have the potential for massive change, governments and corporations having to play catch up.
So our actions, for better or worse, really do kind of reverberate throughout this whole hierarchy of consciousness, impacting the world around us in ways we probably don't even realize. But let's bring it back down to like the individual level. This is all great in theory, but with, everything going on in the world and AI in the mix, how do we actually become more conscious individuals? Where do we even start?
Well, that's where this book gets really practical, which I appreciate. It's not just about this big global consciousness shift. It provides a framework for cultivating what it calls the skeleton of the self.
The skeleton of the self. Okay, I'm listening.
It's like these essential inner qualities that allow us to become more conscious individuals. And it's something we can all work on, which I think is really empowering.
Okay, I'm intrigued. Break this skeleton down for me. What are these like core qualities we're talking about?
The book outlines 5 key elements: attention, intention, attitude, action, and impact.
So where we're focusing our energy, like our motivation for doing what we're doing, how we approach situations, the actions we take, and then the ultimate outcome of those actions. Did I get that right?
You got it. And the best part, the book emphasizes that these aren't just some esoteric concepts, These are actionable things that we can actually cultivate and strengthen within ourselves. Like you can train your attention through mindfulness, through meditation. You can set clear intentions for your day, for how you want to interact with others. You can even choose your attitude walking into a meeting. Are you feeling defensive? Or are you coming in with an open mind? These small shifts can really change how we show up in the world.
I love that we have the power to choose our attitude. And in doing so, we're kind of choosing the energy we bring to everything we do.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it all ties back to this idea of personal responsibility, right?
Yeah.
Within this larger interconnected web, the more conscious we become as individuals, the more those ripples of consciousness can contribute to a more conscious world. But it all starts with understanding ourselves and recognizing that we have the power to choose our own internal landscape.
This is where I feel like that dance metaphor really comes to life, because it's not about being perfect, right? It's about learning and growing, finding your flow.
Precisely. And the book, it lays out this beautiful 3-part movement for this dance of self-discovery. M1, M2, and M3.
Ooh, I like it. A three-part dance toward a more conscious life. So what's the first move? Break it down for me.
All right, so M1 is all about self-knowledge. This is where we look inward, becoming aware of our thoughts, our emotions, our habitual patterns, those things we do on autopilot that might not be serving us anymore. It's like scouting out the dance floor before you start busting a move,
Yeah.
Got to know the terrain.
Okay, so first, we've got to know ourselves. What's next? M2. What's the next move in this dance?
M2 is all about self-improvement,
Yeah.
not about being perfect, right? But making those conscious choices, the skills we want to learn, the habits we want to cultivate, even the relationships we choose to nurture or, maybe step back from. It's about aligning those choices with the kind of dance we want to be doing.
So we're refining our steps, practicing our moves, getting ready for the big shebang.
Exactly.
Which brings us to M3, the grand finale. What's the third move in this consciousness conga line?
M3 is where it all comes together. It's about spreading. So we take what we've learned, how we've grown, and we start sharing it with the world around us.
Okay, so we're not just dancing for ourselves anymore. We're inviting others to join in, maybe teach them a step or two.
Right. And it doesn't have to be this big, grand gesture. The book emphasizes that. It can be as simple as offering a listening ear to a friend, sharing an article that resonated with you, or even just approaching a difficult conversation with a little more patience.
It's about those small acts of kindness, those conscious choices that we make every day that really add up over time.
Exactly. And, the book offers some really practical tools, frameworks for actually putting these ideas into practice. One thing it talks a lot about is the power of, conscious communication. It even lays out a manifesto for loving communication, which I found really helpful.
Okay, manifesto for loving communication. I have to know more. What's in this manifesto?
Well, at its core, it's about approaching all of our interactions, with more awareness, more intention. It encourages us to really speak our truth, but with kindness, and to listen with the intent to understand, not just to respond.
It's about bringing that same presence that we cultivate in meditation, or at least try to our conversations.
Yes. And it goes beyond just words, too. The book talks about walking your talk and talking your walk, making sure your actions are aligned with your words, and vice versa.
It's about that integrity, that authenticity shining through. I like that a lot.
Me too. And speaking of things we like, remember we were talking about meditation. The book really emphasizes that as a tool, and not just for relaxation, but as a way to actually train that skeleton of the self, strengthen our attention, become more aware of our thought patterns, our emotions, all of it.
It's like going to the gym for your mind.
Exactly.
But for those of us who haven't quite, reached Zen master status yet, any other tools we can use in our everyday lives?
Absolutely. One that really resonated with me is called Triple Like and Triple Win. It's a decision-making tool, and it's so simple but so powerful. Before taking any action, ask yourself 3 questions.
Okay, give me the questions.
All right, first, do I like it?
Makes sense.
Second, does the other person like it?
Okay, considering others. I like it.
And finally, does it contribute to a better world? If you can answer yes to all 3, you're probably on the right track.
Simple, but powerful. I love it. It's like a little gut check to make sure our actions are aligned with our values and with something bigger than ourselves. It really speaks to this whole idea of interconnectedness that we've been talking about. And makes me think about something else. The book mentions this idea that AI could actually become our dance partner in consciousness. It's a pretty mind-blowing concept when you really think about it.
Right. It's like this invitation to imagine a future where AI isn't something to be afraid of, but this collaborator in this dance towards a more conscious, more compassionate, more interconnected world.
It's a hopeful vision. It really is. And I think it leaves us with a really powerful question to consider. What would your ideal tango with AI look like? How can you, as an individual, contribute to a future where technology and consciousness, they evolve together in a way that benefits everyone?
Those are the questions, aren't they?
They really are. And on that note, we'll leave you to ponder those questions, dear listeners. Go forth and continue your own exploration of these ideas.
Happy dancing, everyone.